What's up, guys? I'm Tinashe Moyo, and welcome to another episode of Stride. On this channel, my goal is to inspire people to take the first step towards their goals in life using my personal experiences. And in this video, I will be talking about the devastating truth about my stealing addiction. Kind of a sensitive topic for me, but I guess that's what Stride is all about, right? So sit back and enjoy. Welcome back. And yeah, so my stealing addiction. It's a tough thing for me to talk about, but I guess I just have to run with it. So, anyways, before I go any further, I recently got to know that um, a stealing addiction is called kleptomania. I recently found out on the internet, and it's like so if you're a stealing addict, you're actually called a a kleptomaniac. And so the definition of kleptomania is an impulse control disorder that results in an irresistible urge to steal. I actually wanted to use the term kleptomania as part of the title for the video, but I kind of thought that people might not really understand the word on the go, so I just decided to just let it slide and go for something simpler, and also at the same time, um, I also thought that like from the top of my mind, to me, I thought that a kleptomaniac, it's kind of like a some type of clown, you know. So I just uh, deduced that and just said to myself, okay, let me just go with something simple. So yeah, uh, in a way, it kind of feels awkward to even refer to myself as a kleptomaniac. But anyways, I think for me to be able to form the story, to be able to tell the story, maybe I just had to dive into that character a bit. So, anyways, I'll try to go back to what I can really remember because this thing actually started off when I was pretty young. So I think it started off like in church, this thing where you just have to give offerings, right? Like Sunday offerings. Every single Sunday, you have to give offerings. So I mean, as children, we would always get some cash from our parents to give as offerings. So I think it was just one Sunday when I was sitting close to, I think just next to my late aunt, my mom's younger sister, God rest her soul. So I just had the idea that I wanted to get myself some snacks after church. So I ended up having to lie. I mean, just imagine the deception. I was a young kid, and then I had to lie to my aunt that I lost the money because in my mind I just wanted to get myself some snacks. So I think I said it for like 3 4 times, like, "Hey, auntie, I lost the money. I can't find the money." Then she was like, "All right, fine." But then some of the dumb things that we do, I'm actually surprised that I wasn't caught. It's like you're now excited that you can use your money to go and buy snacks. And then I started like, this thing where you actually want to look at the money, you want to smile at the money, you want to kiss the money, and then because those days we were using coins like Zimbabwean coins. So now I'm like really pressing it, and it's like the type of t-shirt that I was wearing, or the shirt, I can't really remember, it ends up uh, taking the shape of the coin. And then you're just like super excited. Like that was a dumb thing to do. But then I got away with it the first time. And then once I figured out that I got away with it, I ended up doing it. I think I would alternate some Sundays because when it comes to deception, it makes you do so many different things. Like this happens in church, you know. It's like I was alternating Sundays. Like some Sundays I would actually go and give the church offering. Then some Sundays I would just stay behind and you know, keep the money to myself just so I could get snacks. Now here's the bad thing about this thing. Uh, it wasn't addressed when I was a kid. And because of the fact that it wasn't addressed, you know, it ended up becoming a habit, like in church and even outside of church. Because I think as I was growing up, I remember in primary school, I think in my earlier days, I was actually walking at the school grounds, and then I actually noticed a $2 coin. That was actually an iconic $2 coin with a pangolin on it. So I actually saw it on the ground, and I was just like, "Oh wow, this is like manna from heaven." I picked up the coin, put it in my pocket, went outside the gate, and bought myself some snacks. And you know, you don't have the conscience to even think that the person who lost that money is in like uh, is having trouble. Probably that was bus fare. Probably that was their lunch money. You don't even care about that. Like, if I was an honest person, I could have taken that money to the teachers or the headmaster. They could, you know, they could like announce that and at least try and help someone if someone was actually honest enough to uh, say that it was their money, then I would actually have helped someone. But instead, I chose to keep that money for myself. And you know that the thing ended up growing, like even in primary school. I think when it got really bad was I, I got like a videotape. I think one of the classic action movies, American movies called it should be American Assassin, if I remember correctly. I got it from a friend of mine, and I loved the movie so much. I watched it a couple of times, and then there was also another friend of mine who I was in the same class with. So I told him about the movie. He also, got interested in the movie. And so he ended up telling one of the guys that stayed close to his house. And now this guy had this reputation of being one of the biggest cons in our hood, but I didn't know anything about that. So that guy came to my house. He asked for the videotape, and now I was trying to be the cool kid, the generous kid who gives people stuff. So I gave the videotape to him, and that was it. I never got the videotape back. And when my other friend wanted his videotape, like I had no idea what to do. Now this guy starts threatening me. He was giving me continuous threats. I had no idea what to do. Like he would always come to my house on a regular basis, just asking about the videotape. At first, I used to lie like, "Oh, I gave it to my cousin. He's gonna bring it back." Until things got really worse, he ended up coming with his brother. His brother gave me another threat. I don't know, something like beating me up. I can't really remember, but those that really pushed me to the edge. And then I had um, no other option. These guys now needed money because they were like, okay, if you can't bring the videotape, you then have to like give us money as compensation for the videotape. Now, I wasn't working, right? I never addressed uh, that issue to any of my parents. Had I did, I'm sure they could have helped in a very big way. But I just kept it to myself. I felt the pressure all by myself. And what then could I do? I started taking money. Now, I think the money that I first took was our maid's money. So I was taking bits and pieces. It was like installments because I would take, uh, I think, the cash that I could, and then I would give those guys, and then they would go. They'd come back again. So now I was taking money from our maid, and as well as my mom's money. See how bad it was. So you're just taking small amounts. But then, uh, as time went on, I was able to pay off the debt. But then there was now a problem at home. People were missing their money. And then, you know, it's like my parents started asking me, like, yo, what's happening with the money? People are losing money here. What's really going on? I couldn't say anything. I would just say, oh, like, it's not me. I don't know anything about that. Like, I had really, that scenario actually made me into one of the best liars, in my opinion. And, you know, it's like, yeah, I think I got away with it for a bit until my mom took me into her room, set me down, and we really had a private conversation, and she was really asking about it, and then I told her about what had happened, the whole videotape thing, the money that I was taking. So uh, she actually calculated, right? And I think it was close to like 1,000 uh, Zimbabwean dollars, if I'm not mistaken. And then after finding out about that, I just started crying. Like I was bawling, I was crying, like boo-hoo crying. Like the whole face is just, full of tears and everything. I couldn't even contain myself. And I was sitting on my mother's lap, and then she hugged me real tight and she said, I love you. It now I can't really remember some of those emotions, right? But in that moment, it felt like everything was over, you know? Like it really, really did. And then I was like, yeah, okay, I think I'm good to go now. So yeah, I think time passed. And then getting older again, I think in my high school days, uh, I spent 3 years in boarding school. So that meant that I would spend more time away from home. So none of that could happen. But when I transferred and came back home and became a day scholar, I think that's when everything changed. You get to meet different people with different personalities, different people with different goals, people telling you what they think you should do. And in, I mean, in those days, in those years, you're still trying to figure out what to do with your life. You're still trying to figure out how things are going to be. So then it came back again, right? I started taking money again from my mom this time. I think this was, I think, sometime in 2008, if I'm not mistaken, 2008, 2009. Uh, I was a little bit older, but still, you know, I'm taking money again. Now, this time, this came from a place where I would see my other best friend, Tawanda Perai. He would, you know, get so many different things from his mom, like gadgets, clothes, even a cell phone, right? So I would envy this guy, like, man, I also wish I could have these things. But then knowing how my family was, it's like my parents, particularly my mom, liked to to live on a budget, because her mind is on getting like the groceries at home, getting all the bills paid, all of those things, right? I didn't know anything about that. I was just like, man, I want what this guy has. But then what's the best thing for me to do? I gotta start taking money again. So I started taking money from my mom. Now, I'm not talking about, $5, $10. No. I started going big. Like we're going from like $20, um, $50, even getting to points where I would take uh money as big as $100, $200, just to get myself some clothes, just to um, get myself a phone. And here's the bad thing about all of this. Sometimes I would actually take the money while my mom was sitting in the lounge, just relaxing, watching TV. I mean, that's how bad it was. My mom trying to relax from the day job that's bringing her money for us to get food on the table, for us to get a place to sleep every single day, you know? But then, conscience wise, I didn't think of any of that. All I wanted was the same things that my best friend had. And I kept on doing that. I kept on doing that. Like it actually went for, quite some time actually. And now here's the sad part about this. There was a time when uh, my I think my mom and dad actually put together some cash for me and my uh, second oldest sister to get whatever we wanted. And in that moment, I quickly decided that I wanted to get myself a personal computer. And I went on to get that computer, but still, I had a demon in me. I felt like it still wasn't enough. I got myself a CPU, like I, I was trying to build myself a machine, but I had no idea like about some of the components, the accessories and everything. So I went and got myself a mediocre machine, you know, and a monitor. So I then decided like, okay, um, I need a better monitor. So what then should I do? I need to get more money. And I think I stole like $200 from my mom to get myself the monitor that I needed. Things were still quiet at that time, right? So time moved on. And then I think during that same period, my actually Tawanda's mother would actually ask me to sleep over at her place because she would travel with work. And their place, there would only be Tawanda's older brother, like the second born in their family. His name is Munyaradzi. So the mother would actually ask me to sleep over at her place because Munyaradzi would come back home a little bit late, so they just needed security, like someone who would just make sure everything was okay, uh, like at least at like 6 p.m., So I'd actually go there 6 p.m., 7 p.m., just making sure like the windows are closed, the lights are on, the curtains are closed, all of that stuff, right? Tawanda's mother uh, trusted me to be the guy who looks after the place. Now, I never shared this with Tawanda or even his older brother. I kind of feel some type of way talking about this now, but still, it's weird. At the same time, I feel like just talking about it makes me be at peace. So during my time at Tawanda's place, you know, I would actually take money or rather steal from his older brother. Because what he used to do, he would actually keep his money under his mattress. So I would sleep in a different room, but still, being a kleptomaniac, um, you know, they're just things that just push you to like just go and look for money any place you can. You know, this is, of course, this is a house that I also grew up in. Them being close to us, right? But still, there are things where it's like, if it's personal things, you're not supposed to know where people's personal things are stored. But I would, you know, look around. I would actually take money under his mattress. Not $5, not $10, no, $20. Like I'd actually like take $100 for under his mattress, and he would even have some fuel coupons, right? So I would take those fuel coupons and some of the $20 notes, and I, you know, now, when I think of it now, I was actually pretty dumb because taking all of that money, I would go buy myself a phone, like a different phone. And I think I had a bad omen with phones, man, especially phones that I would buy with money that I would have stolen. Those phones never worked because they were actually used phones, right? So I would just buy mediocre phones, phones that were just, you know, they wouldn't really last long. But I think the one that I actually got um, by taking Mnyaradzi's money was actually a brand new phone, a boxed phone, right? This kind of sounds good. Like, oh, you actually got yourself a boxed phone. But how did I get it? I stole money from people who trusted me to look after their home. I even stole airtime, man, like airtime credit. I remember this other day, Munyaradzi actually texted me and he was actually asking about those like credit cards, right? And I was just like, no, I never saw anything. Then he was like, you know what? No pressure. Probably I might have misplaced them. Because he usually got drunk, right? So he was just like, oh, you know, maybe I got drunk and misplaced them. That's fine. But then in the back of my mind, I was just like, okay, probably he's suspecting. But then you're just like, nah, you know, let me not really get into detail. So I don't know if Tawanda gets to see this video. I'm really sorry, dude. But I'm actually gonna speak to him in person. Now I don't really know if I can speak to his older brother. I probably should. I just don't know how the relationship is gonna be after I tell him that. But I just feel like, you know, I should. If you saw my last video, I was just talking about following your gut instinct. And that's what I've been feeling. So I just have to gather everything that I have and, you know, speak to him. So, anyways, getting back to family now, there was a time when I actually stole $100 from my second oldest sister's bag. She actually had $200 notes, and I stole just $100. You know, it only takes a second for that to happen because that day my sister was actually supposed to go back to school university because at that time she was at Africa University. So I think she just went outside for a bit just to see someone. The moment she went outside, I reached into the bag real quick, $100. I don't remember what I even used that money for. Then she came back. She's just like, oh man, I can't find $100 note. I had like $200. Now I have $100 note. Me being a good liar, I was just like, oh man, I'm sorry. Like you act these things out just to get out of a situation you put yourself in. And I was just like, man, this is terrible. And then I also stole $100 from my dad. You know, I think my dad at that time he was actually taking a bath, and I was just like in and out. Took $100, kept it to myself, and then I was actually in town with my sister, and then my dad called my sister and he was just telling him that he can't find like his money. He then she then put me on the phone with him, and then I was just like, oh no, I can't find it. You start asking stupid questions. Where did you leave the money? Blah blah blah, all of those things. I was just like, I couldn't find it. And then when he had a conversation with our mom about that, my mom was just like, oh, maybe you misplaced it, or maybe you used it for this and that. And then he was just like, okay, probably that's what I did, because you want to use the old age card, right? And then I kind of got away with it. And guess what? I went out and bought myself WWE SmackDown versus Raw 2009. I was a kid. I wasn't. I wasn't really grown up to understand that. Now, I think sometime in 2010, my late uncle, God rest his soul, my mom's younger brother, was actually ill. So he had given me his bank card to withdraw some cash so that we could like buy some foodstuffs, and also get some money to pay for some of his medicals, right? So at first I did that, but then I tried to return the card to him, and he was just like, no, just keep it. We might need to do some more withdrawals again. So I think we spent like a month and a half without doing any withdrawals. And then, me being the kleptomaniac, I went out. I withdrew cash from my uncle's bank account on a regular basis. I would get myself some clothes. At home, I would lie that I was doing business, like a graphic design business, right? But literally, I was just taking money from my late uncle's account, so much to the point that I took money and I bought myself a PSP. But at home, I lied and just said, oh, it's work. I've been working really, really hard. And yet, I've just been working on stealing, from my uncle's account. My uncle ended up passing on. He never found out about that. Even my parents, I never brought that issue up to them. And, that was such a terrible thing. And speaking of terrible, my mom got sick sometime in 2015. She got admitted in hospital. So before she got admitted in hospital, she had given me her bank card so that I could withdraw $100, which I could use for transport money. Because at that time, I was actually going to work, but at that company, we were not getting anything, like no salaries, no nothing. So we had to use our own money to go to that place. So I think I wanted to return the card to her, and then she was just like, "No, keep it." Because I think what then happened was that the I think must be the next 2 days. That's when she got sick and got admitted at hospital, and I think she stayed there for like a couple of weeks or a month rather. So you know, the bad thing about all of this is like I had withdrawn at first like $300. So $300, she had actually told me to take that money so that I could pay bills, because she would actually send me to pay bills. So it was like, I think, medical aid, water rates, electricity bills, all in that $300. So when I had withdrawn that money, that's when she got admitted. I never got to use that money, so I kept it to myself, and then I used it. And then the next time again, I withdrew $300 again, right? Now remember, I had bought myself a mediocre machine. Tawanda had gotten like two different laptops because he had one, but the first one actually got busted, and then he got another laptop in a short space of time. I'm envying like this dude's progress, right? And now I want my own um, custom machine. So with the $300 that I had taken from my mom's account, I used it to buy computer components, a graphics card, power supply, RAM to the computer geeks, and even a monitor, right? So now I think, you know, the funny thing is that God works in mysterious ways, right? The graphics card that I had bought was quite expensive and it was quite big. That thing didn't even last 2 days. We built the machine, right? But the next day, that thing got busted. It got messed up. It never worked again, right? So this was like $200 down the drain. I was like, okay, this is God. I don't know how you did this, but then you got me there. So my my dad, actually saw like boxes. I mean, I was stupid. Like when you steal, you do some dumb things. I kept the boxes for all the new things that I had bought, right? My dad picked it up. And then I think he spoke to my sister about it, like, oh, I noticed this guy bought new things, blah, 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 right? So then came a time where I was supposed to withdraw money to pay the bills again. Now, I was supposed to go with my dad on that day, and we did. Like, I tried my best to run away from him, but then we just ended up going together. So I was supposed to withdraw $300 again, but then uh, there wasn't enough money in the account. So I think I withdrew like $150 and then I gave it to my dad. I acted like I kept some of the money with me, but then I didn't have any of the money, right? So I had spoken to a friend of mine who had promised to lend me some of the cash, like the money that I was owing. Funny enough, on that day, I didn't get anything. I spent like 2, 3 hours sitting in town, like just trying to contemplate, like, where am I going to get the money? I tried to call different people. I didn't get anything, right? And then I was just like, okay, this is getting late. It's getting late. Let me go back home. Uh, I just have to face the music in as much as I don't want to. So I got back home, sat down with my parents, and I just told them about the whole issue. I was as honest as I could. And then I just promised to, you know, get them the money back. So I had been promised some work that was going to bring in some decent money. I never got any of that work, right? But I kept on using that card to my parents, like, okay, there's just some work that I need to do, and then I'll get the money, right? And then I thought to myself, like, okay, there's a man or like an older man. He's actually quite a father figure to me and my siblings, right? Because his wife was best friends with my mom. Now the wife is late, God rest her soul, and so yeah, we've been close to the point where if I could ask for anything, he would give me like in the blink of an eye, right? So I went to him and I just told him that my machine got busted. I need to do some work, blah, blah, blah. So I need this much money. And he was just like, you know what? That's cool. Um, let's see what we can do. Yeah. And he ended up giving me the money and I paid my parents the money, back. But now I'm owing this guy. I spent like 5 years to pay that money back because I got so relaxed in the sense that I was just like, okay, he's the father figure. We're cool. He's not going to ask about the money, but he kind of put a little bit pressure on me, but it wasn't that much pressure that I like couldn't, eat at home. But I kept on making excuses. Like I was gonna get money from my sister and then I'm gonna pay you back. I didn't, so I had to work. That's when I got work, a job actually, and then I started paying him bit by bit installments. I cleared the debt. Now, before clearing the debt, um, just after I paid my mother back, my sister had actually given me her bank card. This is quite an interesting journey. She had given me a bank card, right? And I think she wanted me to like withdraw some money for I think some stuff that she wanted to do. She didn't have the time. At that time I wasn't going to work. So I was just like, all right, it's cool. I will get the money. And then another day I was just like, you know what? Let me just see if I can get like 20 bucks from her account. I went and withdrew the money. Me being stupid, you don't you're not aware that when you withdraw money, the bank notifies you through a text message that you just withdrew money from your account, right? As I was making my way in town, she called me, right? I thank the network because if the network was clear, I had no idea what to say. So she was just like, what do you want to do with the money that you just took from my account? And then I was just like, like I was just, I was just mumbling, right? And she hung up, and then I quickly texted like, "Oh, I was thinking of doing this. I'm sorry. I should have spoken to you." But then she was quick to understand, like, "Okay, you know what? It's fine. You can give it back to me." So I'm thankful that she didn't make a scene out of that, and I ended up replacing the money. So yeah, this is like the journey and the confessions of a kleptomaniac. I mean, this that was one hell of a ride. Now here's the thing. After all of those incidents, I was able to uh, not do that again. But now here's the thing. It's not like I never get any of those thoughts in my mind. Sometimes it just comes to me like, oh, what if this? What if that? But I'm quick to tell myself, like, no, you're not that person, right? Because sometimes it's like a spirit that just comes on you. You can't control it. You can't control yourself. So I do my best, to get over that. One of the best things I have been doing to avoid getting back to that is just being generous. Because if you're generous, if you can give money away, you're never going to have an issue um, taking money from someone else. So I do my best to be generous, to help people, even if I have like the smallest amount, right? Because I know God is gonna uh, get me through whatever challenge I have, right? So I always do my best to be generous, to give people money, even when it comes to my parents, the same people that suffered for a very long time because of me. Uh, I always do my best to like get stuff for them. That's why I got my mom a gas stove. That's why I got my mom a washing machine. That's why I bought my dad some clothes for Christmas, even when he asks for money sometimes. Um, some of the times I'm a little bit defensive, like, oh, I want to use money for this, for that. But at the end of the day, you're just like, okay, your dad helped you get to this point. So the best thing that you can do for him is to just give him the money. So uh, these are some of the things, right, that I get to do to help myself. I haven't uh, stolen money since the last time I did, and I'm really uh, grateful for that because that was like one of the worst demons that just came on me. I can't even imagine where I would be if none of that had changed. Probably I would have been locked up. I'm pretty sure of that. But I'm just thankful for, you know, God's grace. So, I think like the moral of the story is, yeah, bad things can happen to us, but I believe that everyone is capable of change. And also at the same time, let's try to address issues like these um, as early as we can. I know talk is cheap, it's easier said than done. But if we create a platform where we are just able to address issues like these, if there's anyone who's suffering from, you know, kleptomaniac, find someone you can talk to, tell them what you're going through. And, I think as families or as friends, let's try to accommodate each other as much as we can. Uh, Sometimes if we can't, especially when it comes to families, if we can't do stuff for our kids or be it our cousins, anything like that, let's try and make them understand. I know I said talk is cheap, but let's try and make time to let people know that, okay, I can't do this for you because of ABC, because people are still going to envy someone else's um, things, and then they will start uh, taking money like the wrong way. So let's always make time for things like these. Let's create platforms. Let's share as much as we can. If you feel you've got that problem, you feel free to even talk to me because I've been there before. You can't take someone through a place that you've never been to, but I've been there. I got out of it. And if you need help in terms of, how you can get out of that place, um, I'm an open book. I'm available if you want to talk. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my story. I hope it inspires you in every way possible. So, this whole stealing thing actually made me think of a couple of different names for myself. I'm talking about Steelo Green, Stealing K. Brown, Raheem Stealing, Rumpelstiltskin, and Stone Cold Steel Austin. So, if you've been getting value from my content, please leave your thoughts in the comments section. I would love to know what you guys think. Do leave a like, it helps me create more content. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. But if you have, thank you so much for the support that you've been giving me. Thank you for continuing to watch my videos. Yeah, please share the link to my channel. Let's grow together, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.